Are the cases that you're taking on, are these guilty members generally, or like what's your typical BAH fraud type person? Are most of them guilty when they hire you?
Well, I don't want to say they're not guilty until they're found guilty by the court. They're innocent until proven
I
guilty,
should know
right?
better
So
by now. Yeah, I should know better by
they're
now.
innocent until proven guilty, right? But what often happens is, like for example, the client we just represented out in San Diego, the government wanted years of confinement. They wanted a general court martial, years of confinement, a dishonorable discharge, and that's what they were looking for. And they wanted this huge fine on top of all of it. After nearly a year of work, and it took a year to work the case. These cases aren't quick because oftentimes the subpoena returns take a long time. So after a year of working it, we were able to negotiate down to a judge-alone special court-martial, which is basically the equivalent of a petty misdemeanor. He did 30 days in confinement, was reduced in grade, and not kicked out of the military, at least with a punitive discharge. He had to waive his board, and so we were able to do a lot of mitigation work to go from potentially years in confinement and dishonorable discharge to what's going to turn out to be 25 days in the brig and not getting a punitive discharge. And in order to do that, there's a lot of work, a lot of motions writing that had to be done, a lot of pretrial litigation. So it's a ton of hours to get there, but ultimately we were able to, save him years of his life that he's not going to be spending in prison. He's not going to receive a bad conduct or dishonorable discharge. So we have that. And other times I have cases where, you have a spouse who just absconds. You have a spouse who leaves and you don't know where she's at, or you think your spouse is going to, you legitimately think your spouse is going to, and I keep on using New York, but maybe you're actually from New York. Maybe you're born and raised in New York and your spouse is going to go there. You go to Okinawa, you're on a UDP, you're deploying, and maybe she never goes there. And now the issue is intent. Where did you actually believe she was? And that may
Hmm.
be a defense, but that's a defense for a short period of time. So if that happened for a couple months, but if it's for years, that's a bit hard to sell, so to speak. You didn't know where your spouse was for years, and you've been back in New
Sure,
York
you
on
could be on
leave.
deployment. How are you supposed to really keep track of you're on a 9 month 6 or 9 month deployment? How are you supposed to truly know other than what you
Yeah, and
believe?
those cases are easily defendable, right? So if you're on a 6 or 9 month deployment or a UDP and you don't know where your spouse is, oftentimes you have a bad relationship or whatever it happens to be, and now she's cheating on you and left, or found out you were cheating on her, whatever it happens to be, those are highly defendable cases. And those cases oftentimes I won't say they're easy wins, but it goes down to intent. You have to intend to defraud. And if there was no intent to defraud, maybe you have a case of negligence, or maybe you have a case of you just honestly provide the wrong information. That's a completely different set of facts than the contract marriage, or listing your wife as listing your spouse in a high BAH location, knowing damn well she's not there. They're very, very different sets of facts. If you're involved in BAH fraud, you need to call my office immediately and do a consultation. You can reach us at area code 813-669-3500. Please get on my calendar. We'll schedule a full evaluation of your case. It will be in complete confidence, and we'll come up with a plan for how to deal with your situation.